I am Adrian Harris of retaught Consulting Agency, and it is Tuesday, so it is time for another Adrian Harris Method. I am owner, CEO, and founder of the retaught Consulting Agency LLC. I also am a two-time Teacher of the Year recipient, where in two different counties, guys, and I'm also was a finalist at the county level in one of those via one of those Teacher of the Year awards. So I am super excited today to come to you guys from a writing perspective on today. If you see from your title of this video, we are talking about standardized testing. If you are a parent, then your child should have received some type of information concerning their Georgia milestone scores. And sometimes I don't know if parents are fully aware of what those scores mean, what are the underlying meanings of the scores, and so that's what we are going to talk about today. Now, from a let's start with the teacher perspective. From a teacher perspective, what happens towards this time of year, if not just a little bit before, because the state is very much aware of when schools and students get out, and what they're trying to do is send those scores out for the sake of promotion, for the sake of retaining students, and also for the sake of determining which kids need to go to summer school and which kids don't. So they typically send out a copy to the teachers of the scores, just with names, what those scores were, and y'all, it's like a packet. The last packet I saw was mixed. I think it was mixed with, different teachers, of course, different student names. And all of this stuff is systematic, just like the test. The standardized test is very systematic. And so what typically happens on these tests from the teacher perspective, we're at that moment just looking at the scores of whether or not the child did well in a particular area, or whether or not a child did not do well in an area. And what happens in the fall sends the students the printouts of the specifics of the categories where your child falls into. So middle school exams are divided into 4 parts. You have your math, your science, your social study, and you also have a reading. And if you are the parent of a high school students, you have various parts these students have to take. Your high school students aren't necessarily tested every year, and they aren't necessarily tested in every grade. You're going to have your 9th and 11th grade literature exams your students are going to have to take. You have 4 math sections that the students are tested in. So you have your coordinate algebra, your analytic geometry, your algebra 1 and geometry, and then you have your sciences. They are tested in biology and physical science, and guys, history is tested in the courses of U.S. history, economics, business, and or free enterprise. So if your child is not in one of those courses, then they are not going to be tested. So they've kind of, I guess in terms of middle school to high school, they're not tested every year. They're not tested in every class your child takes. They're just tested in 10 different classes over the course of their 4 years of high school. So your student is being examined, or is what's going on with these particular tests. And I know you guys know this. I just want to pull out one point about these standardized tests that I think will help you get a better understanding as a parent as to exactly what they're testing. Guys, not only are these tests examining whether or not your child is proficient enough to be, complete the grade they are in, it's actually an exam as well to determine how well that they are going to do in the next grade. And that's the thing about the research I was doing on these standardized tests that shocked me to most. They don't only grade whether or not your child learned what he or she was supposed to learn in whatever grade they are in. It also serves as an indicator of how well they will do in the next grade. Child is a middle school student, whether they're middle school or high school, they're being ranked in 4 categories. You have your distinguished, you have your proficient, you have developing, and you also have what they called a beginning stage. Now these printouts, once again guys, you're going to get probably in the fall. Even though your child has been promoted or retained, you're going to get a full printout of their academic performance probably at a later time. The turnaround for scores is, in terms of just scores, is a couple of weeks, especially depending on when your school was signed up to take these actual exams. So again, these categories are going to be in the area of distinguished, proficient, developing, and beginning. Your top category is that distinguished category. This lets you know that your child has successfully completed the grade he or she was in and is actually well prepared for the next grade. Your next category is proficient. Your child did well in the grade where they were. They understood the material that was given to them, and they are on point or on grade level to do well in the next grade. Your developing categories, if your child receives scores that says they are developing, then your child did okay in the current grade level where they are, and they're going to need some academic support in order to be proficiently prepared for that next grade. And then your beginning, your child did not do well in that grade, and they are going to, let me read you the description for beginning learners. Does not demonstrate proficiency, and the student needs substantial academic support to be very ready for the next grade level. So parents, if your child comes home and they have any of these markings, when you see the next, if you haven't already seen it, I just remember from my days in the school system, we had the scores, given to us as teachers. And then I distinctively remember those actual printouts of, which areas they were strong in, which areas of the ELA exam they were weak in going home in the fall. Guys, it is documented that children, if they are not in some type of academic setting or at least being exposed to some academic work over the summer, they lose about a month, if not more, of academic, progress, if you will, as it relates to going back to school in the fall. So it is a recommendation that your child get at least 2 hours a week. And guys, that's not a whole bunch of time. 2 hours a week in a 7-day week of academics is going to put your child in a position to stay ready for the next grade. What does that mean for your student in a class? From a teacher's perspective, if the kids aren't getting at least 2 hours a week of study time over the summer, it puts the kids behind when it's time to start the new grade. So the teacher has to do what? Go back, review everything that was done in the previous grade before they can actually get to the material for the current grade your child is in. That's why you may see a lot of review work, stuff your child has already done in the fall, in the first couple of weeks, because there is a genuine gap of academic loss over the summertime. And as a parent, these test scores help you bridge the gap as to whether or not or what your child needs to be working on over the summer in order to help them maintain, be more advanced when they get to the next grade level, or to catch them up. Late for you as a parent? Yes. Why? Because again, over the summer you could be working with your child on academic work where you see they are struggling, but there's a solution to that. Just get a copy of their test scores if you don't already have it. And guys, you can go on the Georgia Department of Education website. Just pull up Georgia Milestone End of Grade Assessments, and it's going to give you all of the grading parameters. It's going to give you whether or not those scores fall between the developing, proficient, beginning, or distinguished markings, and you can kind of do some homework on your own. Is this important? Because over the summer you can help your child either catch up or help your child maintain where he or she is academically. I can't stress enough how important it is for you as parents to make sure your kids are, one, of course, not only having fun, but two, also maintaining some type of academic progress, some type of academic schedule, so that they are continuing to be prepared for the next grade, or that they get on track to be prepared for the next grade. It's very, very important that you see where your child is according to these test scores. And then, of course, I know the parents want to do what they can to make sure their child continues to have academic success in the fall once school starts back over. There are some strategies and some methods and some tips you guys can use as you prepare your child to be prepared for the next grade level in terms of bridging the gap. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Adrian Harris, Right On Consulting Agency LLC's owner and CEO, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's session. Thank you so much for tuning in.